After robbing a bank belonging to ghosts, Chun-Moo now has 1,000,000,000,000 ghost coins in hand. Even one ghost coin is equal to millions of human rupees. But then suddenly, a notification tells him to turn left ahead and not jump out the window, and to please pay attention to obeying the rules. He says he has already robbed a bank, so what rules is he supposed to follow? Suddenly, the people behind him shout to stop and catch him. He looks back and says, crap, they're catching up. But in his mind, he thinks he can't worry about that anymore. He just jumps out of a window right in front of him. He finally tells himself he made it, but then he suddenly sees a fist coming right at him and says what? The fist hits him really, really hard and sends him flying away. He drops down on the ground. The guy in front of him says that humans who violate the rules have only one path, death, and tells him to be a good boy and become his meal. Now he is quite scared and mutters, damn it. Then Chun-Moo continues thinking in his mind that he has struggled and scrambled for 5 years in this apocalypse where the weird descended. He has always been cautious, hiding here and there, but in the end, he was still driven to a dead end by the ghosts. However, although ghosts are terrifying, they love money just like humans do, specifically ghost coins. So to escape this dog-eat-dog life, he decided to take a risk and rob the Nether Bank using the epic tier special ring he obtained earlier. Unfortunately, while escaping, he was cornered, violated the rules, and ultimately fell short. He thinks he's not resigned to this and really can't accept it. But then suddenly, the ring in his hand starts glowing, and everything turns into a really dark area. There, he suddenly wakes up again. He wonders if he has been reborn. The others are talking. One of them says he heard that a weird scenario has already appeared in their city. The other replies that as long as you violate the rules, you'll face severe punishment, losing an arm or a leg if you're lucky, and losing your life if you're not. He wonders if a weird scenario really appeared. Could it be? Then he remembers it is December 31st, 2024. He thinks that sure enough, he has actually returned to the moment the weird apocalypse just descended. He wonders if he has to go through those days of living in fear all over again. Then he notices his hand and thinks about the special ring. He wonders if all the ghost coins from the Nether Bank are actually still inside. So that's it. It looks like in this life he can finally pull off something big. If he remembers correctly, at this time in his past life, Jiang City's first weird scenario was about to descend upon their school. Then suddenly, a notification says, attention please. The weird mission Midnight Cafeteria is about to begin. A girl gets really scared and asks what this is, seeing a notification as scary as this is something she has never experienced before. Then another voice says they have been selected to become waiters at the Midnight Cafeteria. Another tells them to arrive at the mission location before 12 o'clock. The notification repeats that the weird mission Midnight Cafeteria has begun and that they must rush to the cafeteria before midnight. As qualified waiters, being late cannot be forgiven. Another girl gets really scared and says it's a weird mission, right? Then everybody starts running around, screaming for help and trying to escape. As everyone panics, one girl cries that she doesn't want to die yet and asks if she doesn't have to go. The guy tells her he advises her to follow the rules. Although entering a weird scenario is dangerous, there is still a glimmer of hope. If she is late, she will be erased immediately. After hearing this, the girl cries even more, but she knows she has to go. Then he thinks about the Midnight Cafeteria and says that if he remembers correctly, this cafeteria is a blue chip stock and will be very useful later. The apocalypse basically starts with buying it. Soon, another notification says midnight is approaching and late waiters will be erased. 3, 2, 1, commencing erasure. Those who fail shout no, but they are immediately erased left and right. Some who make it there sigh in relief, saying phew, that was so scary. Another girl tells Chun-Moo she's scared and that he has to protect her. However, Chin-Moo just swats her away and asks who she is, telling her not to try to latch onto him. She gets really frustrated and snaps at him. Then a voice cuts in and tells everyone to be silent. It says it is the manager of the Midnight Cafeteria and that there are 3 rules here. First, those who come to spend money are distinguished guests, and all staff must unconditionally satisfy the guests' demands, including the manager. Second, damaging cafeteria items is not allowed, otherwise you will be punished. Third, leaving the cafeteria during working hours is not allowed. Then, as the guests start arriving, she says sorry for the wait, distinguished guest. The guest snaps at her, asking what she's dawdling for and telling her to hurry up and come over. After seeing the look on the guest's face, the other girls get really scared. But the manager tells everyone to shut up. She bows and apologizes to the distinguished guest, saying she will handle it immediately. Then she tells them to take her away. As the others drag her away, the guest orders them to serve the dishes. The lady politely tells the guest to please enjoy the meal, and the guest starts eating like crazy. After seeing this, one girl just can't take it anymore. She asks what the guest is eating and says it's so disgusting. She looks like she's about to throw up. The guest then points at her and tells her to come over and wipe his mouth clean. The girl refuses and says she doesn't want to, but it doesn't look like she has much choice. The scared lady mutters, "Damn it." Then she walks over and asks if this is okay and starts wiping his mouth. The guest says very good and hands her a tip. After taking the money, she gets happy and asks if this is really for her. The other girls see it and whisper that those are actually ghost coins. They say they heard ghost coins are extremely precious and can even make the weird show mercy. Another says she heard a tycoon spent $1 million just to buy 10 ghost coins, and she didn't expect this ghost to casually take out 10 ghost coins as a tip. The lady then thinks about Chun-Moo and feels smug, thinking it's a good thing she didn't let him have this opportunity, and that he must be dying of regret now. The guest says he's done eating and tells her to take the plate away. She immediately agrees and calls him distinguished guest again. However, as she is about to leave, she suddenly falls to the ground and the plate shatters. The distinguished guest doesn't like that at all. He mocks her for being clumsy and tells her to pay up. In reality, he was the one who stuck his leg out and tripped her on purpose. The lady angrily says he tripped her on purpose. But the manager grabs her and says that even if a customer makes things difficult, rules are rules. The lady panics and says she will pay and use the ghost coins to compensate for the plate. The manager asks if she is sure she wants to make compensation. She says she is sure. Chun-Moo watches and calls her foolish, saying she just gave up her last chance of survival and that it's impossible for her to leave alive. She snaps back at him, saying he's talking nonsense and that she already made compensation. The manager calmly explains that the price of one plate in this cafeteria is 20 ghost coins, and her money is not enough. The lady shouts that it's impossible, saying that money can be exchanged for 1 million outside. So how can it not buy a single plate here? The manager replies that the money humans use means nothing to them. Then the ghost asks how he should punish her now. The girl starts crying. She doesn't want to be punished, but there is nothing she can do anymore. The guest laughs for quite a while and then slowly looks over the rest of them. He says watching the expressions of human fear is truly interesting and wonders who he should choose to serve him next. The girls panic. One immediately begs him not to pick her. Another says she doesn't want to either. Then the guest looks at Chun-Moo and calls him kid, asking if he isn't afraid. The guest points at him and says he's the one, telling him to hurry over and help take the plate away. He adds that the 10 ghost coins are his. The lady quickly warns Chun-Moo not to go and says the guest wants to harm him. Chun-Moo tells her not to worry and says he has his ways. Then he walks up to the guest and casually asks if he's just carrying a plate, right? The ghost shows the ghost coins. Chun-Moo immediately grabs the money and swats his hand away. The plate drops to the ground and shatters. The ladies, the manager, and even the guest are completely stunned. They can't believe what just happened. Chun-Moo tells them not to waste time and says they should skip to the next step. The girl starts laughing loudly and mocks him, saying his money isn't enough to compensate either, and that he should prepare to die. The manager storms over angrily and says he damaged an item, so he must either pay up or die. Chun-Moo calmly tells her not to rush and asks her to serve him a portion of peanuts for 10 ghost coins. He says he'll eat it right there. Then he shows the ghost coin to the manager. The manager asks what he means. Chun-Moo explains that the rules state that as long as someone spends money, they are a customer of the cafeteria, and all cafeteria staff cannot refuse a customer's requests. So he chooses to become a customer and demands to refuse compensation. Even the ghost guest is quite shocked after hearing all of this. Then the manager praises him, calling him a truly clever customer, and asks for his name. Chun-Moo modestly replies that she flatters him and introduces himself as Chun-Moo. The red-haired lady panics and shouts, asking what they're doing and telling them to hurry up and take him down since he also smashed a plate. The manager calmly explains that she still doesn't understand. Mr. Chun-Moo has already used the rules to find a way to clear the stage. The red-haired lady is completely shocked and asks what. She hurriedly says she wants to spend too and become a customer as well. But the manager reminds her that she already confirmed with her earlier and that there is no second chance. The red-haired lady is totally bamboozled and asks how that could be. The manager then politely asks Mr. Chun-moo if he has any other requests. Chun-moo asks her to call out the boss of the cafeteria. Then he casually drops another bomb and says he wants to buy the cafeteria. The manager asks if he's joking. She admits their cafeteria's revenue has dropped recently, but to buy it would require at least several million ghost coins. Chun-moo says of course he's not joking. As long as she helps him find the boss, this will be her tip. He then shows a huge stack of ghost coin notes. The manager stutters in shock, counting 30,000 ghost coins. Even the guest is stunned and asks how much. The red-haired lady also can't believe it's 30,000. The manager, however, is overjoyed. She thinks that amount equals 2 years of her wages and realizes he's a hidden big shot. The red-haired girl gets furious and demands to know why. If he has so much money, he didn't help her earlier. Chun-moo stands calmly and says he's not related to her in any way, so why should he pay for her mistakes? The manager politely asks Mr. Chun-moo to wait a moment while she goes to call the boss. Chun-moo says no problem and that he'll wait right there. Then the manager turns to the red-haired girl and says that since she violated the rules, she must accept the punishment. Then the red-haired lady breaks down crying, saying she was wrong and begging Chun-moo to save her because she doesn't want to be taken away. But no one is there to save her. No matter how much she begs, it's useless. The manager just laughs, grabs her by the leg, and drags her out. The guest, who was acting arrogant earlier, immediately changes his attitude. He nervously calls Chun-moo Big Brother and says he hopes he won't take what happened just now to heart, claiming he drank too much. He clearly doesn't want to mess with him anymore. Chun-moo coldly tells him to get lost. The guest hurriedly agrees, saying no problem, and runs off, saying he's getting lost right now. The remaining girls stare at Chun-moo in disbelief. Chun-moo calmly tells them to sit down. As they sit, one of them whispers that they're supposed to be on an extremely dangerous weird mission. Another mutters that the whole genre suddenly changed when it comes to Chun-moo. Just then, 2 figures walk in. One of them carries a really dark and heavy aura. The manager immediately straightens up and calls out boss. The other girls also look over nervously. Even Chun-moo is slightly surprised. The manager introduces him and says this is Mr. Chun-moo. The man with the dark aura looks at Chun-moo and asks if he's the one who wants to buy his midnight cafeteria. Although his cafeteria's revenue has declined recently, he says the scale and location are still the best. Chun-moo replies that he is indeed very optimistic about its development prospects. In his heart, he thinks that in his past life, although the midnight cafeteria was sluggish in the early stages, it later became one of the top hotels in the weird world in one fell swoop. This time, he must intercept it in advance. The owner thinks to himself that this is great. Someone is finally taking over this mess, and he must not miss this opportunity. He tells Mr. Chun that the price he's asking is a bit expensive and wonders if he can handle it. Chun-moo calmly tells him to name his price. The owner says 7 million ghost coins, and the cafeteria will be his. The manager is stunned and asks if the boss is being a bit shady, questioning whether their place can really sell for 7 million. She even tells him to look at Mr. Chen's expression. The owner suddenly feels uneasy and thinks he might have asked for too much. He quickly adds that if it's not suitable, they can discuss it further. Chun-moo simply says there's no need and offers 8 million, wanting to close the deal right now. The manager is completely shocked and repeats 8 million. The owner is overjoyed and asks if Mr. Chun is joking. The manager nervously asks if he plans to keep them on. The owner thinks to himself that he was planning to run away after selling the cafeteria anyway. Who cares about these lonely souls and wild ghosts? This way, he won't even have to pay the wages he owes them. So he immediately agrees and says he will leave all the staff members to Mr. Chun. He then politely asks how long it will take for Mr. Chun to make the payment so he can prepare the contract. Chun-moo says they'll do it today because he likes paying in cash. Then a massive stack of ghost coins is pushed onto the table right in front of them. The owner is stunned and thinks that Chun-moo just took out 8 million like it's nothing. He hurriedly prepares the contract and says Mr. Chun is very straightforward in business. He tells him to sign it and the cafeteria will be his. Chun-moo immediately signs. As he does, an aura begins to glow. The ghost tells him not to worry. It's the power of the rules. After signing the contract, he will officially be the boss of this cafeteria and no one else can forcibly take it away from him. Not even the former owner. Chun-moo says he can feel it. In his heart, he thinks that this cafeteria, just like the spatial ring, has formed a connection with him. From today on, the rules of the cafeteria will be set by him. On the other side, the former owner keeps thinking about the 8 million ghost coins. He can't believe he not only sold that failing cafeteria, but also got rid of the troublesome staff without paying their wages. Meanwhile, Chun-Moo thinks that with 8 million, he has secured a weird scenario that will be worth tens of billions in the future. Both of them shake hands happily, each convinced they made a huge profit. The owner then leaves with a giant bag of ghost coins, saying there's no need to see him out, and wishing Mr. Chen a prosperous business before hurrying off. After he leaves, Chun-Moo turns to the staff manager and says that now he is the boss of the cafeteria and wants to modify the rules. The manager immediately agrees, saying no problem since he's the boss and can change them however he likes. As the clock shows 12:29, Chun-Moo announces that he stipulates this weird mission will end at 12:30. The manager agrees without hesitation. Chun-Moo then tells the girls they can go back safely now. They are overjoyed and thank him repeatedly. One says that if it weren't for him, they definitely wouldn't have been able to leave alive. Chun-Moo then tells the manager to gather all the staff because he wants to hold a meeting in 10 minutes. The manager replies, "Okay, boss." 10 minutes later, all the staff members are assembled. Chun-Moo introduces himself and tells them their previous boss sold both them and the cafeteria to him. From today on, he is the new person in charge. Some of the staff think to themselves that it's all the same no matter who the boss is, since they're just beasts of burden anyway. Chun-Moo then says he knows the previous boss owes them half a year's wages, but he is different. He promises to pay all their back wages and tells manager Lee to distribute them shortly. He reveals a massive pile of ghost coins. The staff's eyes light up. One excitedly points out how many ghost coins there are. Another tells him to stop shouting because he isn't blind. Someone estimates there are at least hundreds of thousands. Chun-Moo adds that as long as they continue working for him, he guarantees their wages will be paid on time every month from now on. The entire staff bursts into cheers. One says that's great. Another happily says he can finally save money to get a wife. Someone else even calls him their god. Chun-Moo quietly thinks that such a small amount of money in exchange for the staff's immense gratitude is totally worth it, and he really has to thank the previous boss for setting this up for him. As Chun-Moo leaves, all the staff see him off, telling him to take care, boss. He thinks to himself that even though taking down the midnight cafeteria gave him a boost from the power of the scenario, his current strength is only at the ghost soldier tier at best. If he encounters a higher level weird, he still won't be able to escape being taken down. He realizes he needs to get himself some life-saving equipment. As he walks further, he suddenly sees a car zoom past him. He finds it strange that there's still a taxi this late at night. He gets in and tells the driver to go to Wangjiang community. The driver is actually a ghost. After hearing the destination, he slams his foot on the pedal and speeds off. Inside the car, Chun-Moo starts thinking. Even though there are few cars at night, this speed feels a bit exaggerated. He also notices a faint smell of blood in the car. Then he spots a bloody handprint. He immediately realizes there's definitely something wrong with this taxi. As he carefully observes his surroundings, he concludes that he has stumbled into another mobile weird scenario, the Nether taxi. In the weird apocalypse, humans have to face 3 major threats. The first is weird missions like the midnight cafeteria. The unlucky ones who are chosen must find a way to survive and complete the mission. The second is malicious ghosts disguised as ordinary people. They lure unsuspecting humans into weird scenarios. The third is even harder to guard against. You don't even realize you've entered a weird scenario, and by the time you do, it's basically too late. Fortunately, in his past life, Chun-Moo heard about the rules of the Nether taxi. As long as you have enough ghost coins to pay the fare, you can leave safely. He also remembers that if you don't have money, you must jump out of the car before it accelerates to escape. If you're both stupid and poor and accidentally take the Nether taxi, you'll just end up as food for the ghost. However, the rougher the storm, the more valuable the reward. The Nether taxi is extremely fast and a very efficient means of transport. Plus, while passengers are inside, they are immune to harm from other ghosts. When they finally reach the destination, the ghost driver slowly turns around and tells Chun-Moo that the fare is 10,000 ghost coins and that he should pay up now. Chun-Moo says 10,000 is way too expensive. The ghost coldly replies that if he doesn't have the money, then he shouldn't blame him for getting nasty. Chun-Moo casually praises him, saying he can drive that fast without even using his eyes and is truly worthy of being a veteran driver. The ghost snaps at him to cut the crap and says that if he can't pay the fare, he should prepare to die. Chun-Moo calmly asks who said he can't pay. He then pulls out a bundle of ghost coins and tells the driver that he dares to give it, but asks if the ghost dares to take it. The ghost is immediately flustered. He didn't expect this kid to actually have 10,000 ghost coins. The rules of the Nether taxi clearly state that as long as the passenger pays the fare, they can get off safely. Chun-Moo then exposes him, saying he deliberately used his body to block the taxi meter so he couldn't see the real fare, and quoted a sky-high price to scare him. He was certain Chun-Moo wouldn't have that many ghost coins, so he could justifiably kill him. The ghost starts wondering what kind of background this kid has. The apocalypse only started a month ago, yet he knows the scenario rules like the back of his hand. Chun-Moo presses further and says he didn't expect the ghost to be so black-hearted. It's clearly only 10 ghost coins, yet he dared to ask for 10,000. The ghost tells him to just pay and leave and to stop the chatter. Chun-Moo tells him not to rush and asks if he's tempted by these ghost coins. He asks if he wants them. The ghost cautiously asks what he means. Chun-Moo says of course he can give them to him. He even takes out another 10,000 ghost coins and casually stacks them together, saying he'll add another 10,000. The ghost stares at the pile of 20,000 ghost coins, both wary and tempted. Chun-Moo then tells him that as long as he agrees to one condition, these 20,000 ghost coins are all his, and there will be more every month from now on. The ghost narrows his eyes and asks what condition. Chun-Moo tells him to be his exclusive driver, the kind who's on call anytime. If he performs well, there will be extra bonuses. The ghost is stunned. He thinks about how he works himself to death driving a taxi for only 3,000 a month, while this guy casually waves his hand and offers 20,000. Then Chun-Moo takes out even more ghost coins. Seeing that pile of money, the ghost's hesitation instantly disappears. He introduces himself as Van Chosher and agrees on the spot. From now on, he is Chun-Moo's exclusive driver. Chun-Moo tells him to sign the contract and says that starting tomorrow, he officially works for him. The ghost immediately produces a phone and a contract. He respectfully tells Boss Chun to take the phone and explains that as long as he calls, he guarantees he will appear within 5 minutes. In his heart, the ghost thinks that since Chun-Moo spends so lavishly, he must serve him well and absolutely cannot let this golden opportunity slip away. Chun-Moo nods and tells him to come pick him up at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning at a specific location. After that, Chun-Moo sighs. Even with the cafeteria under his control, his current strength still isn't enough to handle weird scenarios that require brute force. Then he remembers that the Mist Museum is nearby. The museum owner, Duke William, is at the Ghost General tier. He has numerous powerful subordinates at the Ghost Soldier tier. On top of that, Duke William possesses a Ghost General tier treasure called the Death Heavy Armor. After wearing it, one can be immune to most damage caused by the weird. However, obtaining that item doesn't involve completing a mission. The only way to get it is for the Duke to give it away voluntarily. Chun-Moo recalls from his past life that Duke William has actually been financially struggling for a long time. Although he looks glorious on the surface, he's extremely short on money. Coincidentally, ghost coins are the one thing Chun-Moo has in abundance. Thinking of this, he smiles and heads out. The next morning, when he steps outside, he sees the ghost driver already waiting. Chun-Moo remarks that he didn't expect him to be so punctual. The ghost respectfully replies that punctuality is the basic ethic of an exclusive driver. He even says Boss Chun probably hasn't had breakfast yet, so he brought some along the way. Chun-Moo thanks him. The ghost politely opens the door and asks him to get in, while secretly thinking that if he serves him well and keeps him happy, he won't have to worry about bonuses at all. Chun-Moo asks Old Wong if he knows a mall where he can buy gifts for the weird. The ghost immediately guesses that with Boss Chen's status, he must be looking for a high-end mall. Chun-Moo confirms that's right and says the higher end, the better. Old Wong quickly suggests a place in the suburbs called the Depraved Mall, which specializes in luxury goods. He recommends going there first to see if there's anything suitable. Chun-Moo agrees and tells him to take him there. The driver tells him to sit tight because they're setting off and the taxi shoots forward at high speed. Inside the car, Chun-Moo thinks that he didn't expect Old Wong's attitude to be so positive. Money really does make ghosts push the millstone. Soon, they arrive at a strange and eerie location. Chun-Moo steps out and asks if this is the place. It is indeed the Depraved Mall. Chun-Moo tells Old Wong to stay and watch the car while he goes in to shop. The driver obediently agrees. As Chun-Moo walks away, Old Wong thinks to himself that Boss Chun is truly meticulous. Once he leaves the Nether taxi, he's only at the Ghost Soldier tier at best. If they encounter robbers, he's basically useless. But if he drives the car to rescue Boss Chun, the boss will gain the Nether taxi's invincibility effect. No matter how strong the enemy is, they won't be able to harm him. The driver inwardly praises the plan as brilliant. Inside the mall, Chun-Moo immediately feels a chill. It's clearly the peak of summer outside, yet the temperature inside has dropped to freezing. He realizes this is definitely another weird scenario. As he walks deeper inside, a staff member approaches and greets him warmly, asking what he would like to buy. Chun-Moo asks if this is the depraved mall. The woman confirms it is. Then she coldly warns him not to think about running away. As long as he spends money here, he can leave safely. She even reaches out and grabs him, making it clear he's already inside the rules of this place. Chun-Moo calmly says that these must be the mall's rules. The lady confirms and urges him to spend quickly. Chun-Moo tells her to stop playing tricks. If he's not mistaken, even if he doesn't buy anything, he can still leave safely. She freezes and asks how he knows. Chun-Moo explains that he has seen plenty of scenarios like this before. The rule says that as long as you buy something, you can leave the mall. That's actually a misdirection. People who stumble in for the first time panic and bite the bullet, choosing a product because they want to escape as soon as possible. But in the end, they violate the rules because they don't have enough ghost coins to pay. Finally, they can only leave their lives behind. Breaking the deadlock is simple. The rule says you can leave after spending, but it never says you can't leave if you don't spend. Even if he turns around and walks out right now, there's nothing they can do to him. The lady is visibly shocked at how clearly he understands everything. She admits he is very smart and says many people have fallen into the trap of the rules. Since he has already found the path of survival, he should leave quickly. She promises she won't stop him, but Chun-Moo asks why he should leave. He says he came here to